Welcome to RPG Book Club. On today's episode, yes, I need your lightning, Daddy. All right, hello and welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play long games together and discuss them in the moment. I'm Sam Allman.
I am Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And today, Michael is sick, so it'll just be the two of us holding down the fort. He did finish his homework, as it were, but he called us like 20 minutes ago, and he was throwing up. So
yeah, we would prefer not to record with him when he's in that state. He needs his.
Yes, because you see, when you're tired, you have to take the night off and not stay up late studying. So
yeah, go get some sleep, man.
Yeah,
you'll feel way better tomorrow, I'm sure.
Yeah, hopefully he's not stuck in Tartarus though, because that'll get messy. All right, so this week we did the month of September in Persona 3. We if for some reason you're just finding this episode, definitely go back to the first one. We're going to assume that anyone listening this far has been listening from the beginning. So definitely start at the beginning. One thing that's cool that one of our listeners said they did is they watched Let's Plays. And so they would watch the Let's Play for the month because they don't have time to play it. And then they would listen to us talk about what they just saw in Let's Play, which I thought was a cool alternative if you can't find a copy of the game. But So I guess let's just jump right in it. This month was pretty normal. It didn't have a whole lot of plot to it, but it had probably about as much as like May or June did, one of the early months. So it had a good bit of stuff for us to talk about. So last time on, school had just started, and I guess said she wanted to go to school with us, and we said that that's okay. And we told Koromaru it wasn't okay for him to come with us. And then we started school. On the 2nd is Aigus's first day in school, and she calls school Tartarus, but during the daytime, which I thought was cute, and I didn't correct her. It gave me the opportunity to say, no, school is what Tartarus turns into or whatever. And I was like, no, You're right. This is just daytime.
Yeah, no. I told her the same thing. I was like, no, yeah, you're right. You got it.
And so in class, she sits next to me, and Junpei's like, I thought that guy was just going to the bathroom. And I guess is like, well, it's empty now. And so she sat down.
And it's perfect because I get to sit next to my future husband. I mean, this guy.
Right.
Yeah.
And so Akihiko texts to meet him after school, and we go to see Shinji, and Akihiko tells Shinji that we're fighting Strega and that Ken joined C's. Shinji asks to make sure that Ken volunteered and wasn't voluntold like Fuka, and we're like, yeah, he wanted to do it. So then Shinji joins C's, which if you go back to the month of May, Michael was like, don't worry, he doesn't join your party, just so he could tell us a spoiler because he's tricksy like that.
Yeah. He did a good job keeping it from us.
Right? Just like he did with Koromaru. Like I was so floored, and he was just like, hey, remember the dog, don't forget the dog.
And then the dog came back, and now he's our friend forever. I was kind of expecting, like, over time we'd probably end up swaying Shinjiro to join us, but
if not in the party, at least like a Fuka / Ikutsuki sort of capacity, where like he's helping us, but he might not join the party.
But I didn't think it was going to be the little kid joining would be the thing that would get him to do it.
I'm excited for that plot to come to a head. I really thought it was going to, because like last month he was like, when Ken joined, you really felt that like Akihiko's and Shinji's old friend Miki was Ken's mom, and I was expecting Ken to be like, all right, tell me what's going on, like Yukari was like, hey, I'm thinking about this thing that happened 10 years ago, and then like the next week she was like, boom, Mitsuru, here's what I found out. And I was expecting Ken to do a similar thing, but he didn't this month. Excuse me. So then on the 3rd, Mitsuru says that this month there's more lost than last month, so we need to be careful. Then So this isn't I'm trying to separate plot and social links again, like I did last time, and this isn't one,
Mhm.
but it's more of a mechanic thing, which I thought was cool. So I'm going to bring it up now. But you know how last month my relationship with Kazu had gotten halted and turned upside down because I blew him off one day or whatever. So
Oh, right.
I went to try and fix that starting on the third, but it said he didn't want to talk to me, and it just left. And I was like,
Oh.
no, no. And
Oh.
so how that played out over the next like week or so is I tried like two or three more times, and it would give me the like the first one he didn't want to talk to me at all, and then the second one it was like there's an awkward silence, and it gave me choices to pick, and so I picked one, and he was like, well, never mind, I don't want to talk about it, and he stormed off. And then the third one, I asked about how like his leg was or something, and he was like, oh, like it's doing good, and like I've missed you, bro, like I made me upset that things were the way they were, and it repaired it, and then I could go on dates with him again. But
Aw.
yeah, I thought that was cool, where it's like, because like it could have easily just been like you go to talk to him and you like repair it, but like later during the month, baby got mad at me as well, because it was like the week I fixed it with Kazu. Baby was like, hey, do you want to hang out this Saturday? I was like, I literally just told Kazu I don't want to be like, hey, let's be friends again, but fuck you, I'm going to cancel your plans. So I was like, sorry, baby, I can't do it. And he was like, oh, and then it flipped upside down, and so baby was like around the classroom where he normally is, but he had a like the anime anger symbol above his head instead of
Wow.
the exclamation point. And so I went to talk to him, and he was like, I don't want to talk to you today. And I would be like, do you want to go to the club? He's like, I canceled the club today on account of my broken heart. And
Wow.
I was like, okay. And so for him, I had to ask him like three or four times before I could repair that bridge as well. But I thought,
This is why I'm like pounding out social links and getting them to 10 so that I never have to talk to them again and I don't end up in these awkward situations.
right? Uh, so then on the fourth, Junpei in the morning says that there's only four shadows left, so maybe that's why they're tougher this time around. Like maybe we've backed them into a corner type thing.
Mhm.
Then after school ish, he meets up with Chidori, whose hand was healed, and she asked Junpei what he does to feel alive, which already was giving me vibes that she was a cutter.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
like
I got those red flags too.
yeah, like I used to date a girl who was a cutter, and she definitely like was a Chidori type, and so I was like, oh no, this is it. So she lets Junpei sit with her finally. All the other times that they've hung out, he's just been standing in front of her.
Mhm.
So he's talking about what makes him feel alive, which is when he gets to be a hero, and he phrases it like a joke, like in the darkest hour that nobody knows about, Junpei the hero comes around or whatever.
I'm
But
Batman.
yeah, but she's like, you're not Batman. You're part of C's, aren't you? And asks him like if he fights alone and these sorts of things to like figure out what he's up to. And she says, uh, if you fight when and no one if you fight during a time that no one knows about, you'll never have any recognition for it. Which like she knows somehow that she's pushing Junpei's buttons, because remember
Mhm.
back a couple months ago when he was by himself, he was just like, the only thing I'm good at I can never tell anybody I'm good at because it's the dark hour or whatever. And so it's like she poked at his buttons there. So of course he then tells her about personas and everything, but then he says that he's the leader, which I think
Yeah.
is great, because he's been salty about that since the first day.
Classic Stupe.
It's classic Stupe. So then she says, "See you tomorrow," and he's like, oh, "Okay." Doesn't even realize that tomorrow is the full moon. So then on the 5th is the full moon, and Junpei's like, "That's weird. She wasn't at the station, but she said she'd see me tomorrow. I wonder what's going to happen. Oh well, might as well get ready for the operation." And then he hears a voice, and then it cuts. So
Oh
then
well, might as well get kidnapped.
right? So then at the dark hour, Fuka says she senses the shadow at Polonia Mall, and Ken runs in, says he's been looking for Junpei but can't find him. Ikutsuki is like, well, you young people all have moods like that. It's okay, forget him. But like, no, we
That's
like fight demons in the
that's
dark hour.
not
Like, this is
weird of you to
important.
say at all, Ikutsuki.
Yeah,
That's
this is
yeah.
around the time, like, I don't know what Ikutsuki's up to, but it's either something weird or more bad stand up, and I don't know which is worse.
I have never trusted him. Like, I feel like the bad stand up is probably an act, but I don't know. I don't know what to do with those feelings. I'm just like, he talks so innocently, and he like, but he's got that haircut.
Mhm. It's the haircut just makes it like only evil people have that haircut.
Yeah, I mean,
You might as well just have a big bushy mustache, because
he's yeah,
evil people have haircuts like that and mustaches.
he's kind of got Loki hair.
Yeah.
Now that I think about it, it's like that greased back, like trying to look like he's clean and slick, but at the same time, it just kind of looks gross.
Yeah.
And anyway,
Yeah, ever since we saw his stand-up comedy recording, I thought, like, at that moment, I'm like, okay, here's where it is. Like, here's where we see that he's playing us or something. But it didn't turn out that way. So
if he's
maybe,
playing us, they're hiding it real well.
yeah. All I know is I just don't like him. There's a couple things that he's too gung ho about that don't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But so we head to Polonia, but on the way, Shinji stops the main character and asks if Junpei said anything, and we say no, we aren't friends with him. And
I hate that guy.
so then we go to Polonia, and Fuka senses the shadow close but faint, like it's underwater or something. Then she does some really cool, like, Avatar state poetry reciting crazy shit to like boost her finding powers to be able to find it. And so we were just going to search for it, but she's like, no, let me do my crazy shit, and which harkens back to, like we were talking before, how she really wants to be needed by somebody because she didn't have that at home. And so this was like, no, this is my power, let me do it. This is the only thing I'm
this
good
is my
for.
one job.
She's like,
I'm gonna do it.
I want to be needed. And so she senses the power cables underground and senses that they've been possessed by the shadows. And then cuts away to Junpei, who's being tossed on his face on the roof of the dorm. And Chidori asks him a favor, and he was like, yeah, sure, anything. You didn't have to kidnap me. And she's like, okay, then call off all missions forever and stop fighting in Tartarus. And he's like, no.
Yeah, you see, I can't do that because no one will listen to me.
Yeah. So back in Polonia, Fuka says that even though the cables have been possessed by the shadows, just like the train back in May was possessed by a shadow, there still was a body to kill. So she's going to try and find the body for us so we can kill it. She finds it in a small chamber under Polonia, which is the control chamber under Escapade. And I'm like, small chamber? How are they going to make this into a dungeon? And they don't. There's no dungeon at all. It just it just straight from that cutscene. It lets you pick your party, and then you go and you fight the hermit. And like, I guess the game heard me talking shit about how it doesn't have dungeons, and it's just like, fine, you don't like our dungeons, you don't get one.
Yeah, no, here's your dungeon.
Here's your dungeon text box, bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
But so we fought the hermit, and it was pretty hard for me, but I wanted to ask how it was for you, because everything is pretty easy for me, and so I figured it must be kind of hard.
So I actually I'm gonna sound like a douchebag when I say this, Sam. I play smart. I specifically went in. I had looked up the fight to see what I was going to be up against.
Mhm.
Because we're playing this more for the story. I figured it wasn't going to spoil story for me to know what the boss's mechanics were.
Yeah.
And I went in. I had fused a bunch of personas, so I had Kusi Mitama, which was leveled up some from my social link with the music club. And I got Take Mikazuchi, which completely blocks lightning.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and then I read up that it has this attack that charges for 3 turns and then does a big hit. So I picked Akihiko because he not only has good support abilities, but he's also stronger against lightning. I picked Mitsuru for her support, and the fact that she has abilities that can hit without healing it. Because like one of the first things Akihiko did was cast Zionga, and it freaking healed the Hermit. I'm like, moron, come on.
Right.
I picked you because you're strong against lightning, not because you would use it.
Yeah. Though to be fair, if that was right at the beginning, that's before Fuka could have told him all of these things.
Right.
So
exactly.
He was just trying things out like you would at that point.
Yeah. And
he
then
didn't look it up online beforehand.
Yeah, he forgot to look up a walkthrough. Damn it, Akihiko. What am I paying you for? Shit, I'm not paying him. And then I picked Shinjiro as my 4th because he was my highest level. Since he just came in, he was already 37. I was 31 going into this fight. So again, I was kind of underleveled. Probably very underleveled compared to you.
I don't remember what I did it at. I think it was around like 35 or 36. I'm only 38 right now. Okay. Yeah, I was going to touch on it a lot later, but I started getting my ass handed to me this time around. So I did a bunch of grinding earlier today to try and get back the breeziness of easy because I had coasted for like 3 months and now it was biting me in the ass.
Yup. Just as I expect my lies to catch up with me. We went in. I set Akihiko and Mitsuru specifically to support only. And then Shinjiro and I were the ones who focused on doing damage. And so Akihiko was actually using a bunch of abilities that would reduce the boss's defense and attack. And then Shinjiro's, like, the only attack he used the entire time was his persona does a big, actually I think it may have been his only one now that I think about it, because his persona has a regenerate ability, so it gives him a small amount HP of health return. Back. Yeah. And then he just has a big physical attack. And of course, the physical attacks cost HP. So it really helped to have Mitsuru and Akihiko both on support because they could heal him up. Anytime I healed him, he's like, I don't need your help. Like, wow, fuck you too, dude. It's
because you didn't go on your bro date to the movies yet.
That's true, yeah. The only character who died during that fight was Shinjiro. He died once because the boss specifically targeted him, and he was the only one, like, not strong enough against lightning, I guess, or like it didn't target Mitsuru either, but like anytime it would target me or Akihiko, I was like, oh yes, thank you, please. Fucking shock the hell out of me. So it would do its
I just imagine you as like one of the those like sadomasochistic people, just like, yes, please shock me.
Shock me, Hermit.
It heals me.
Yes, I need your lightning, daddy. Okay, I'm never saying that phrase again.
Shock me, Hermit-sama.
Yeah. It had its big charge attack, and then I was paying real close attention to what stage of the fight or what stage of the charging it was in, and then when it got to its big hit, I would switch to Take Mikazuchi as my persona, and it would completely block the attack from me. Mitsuru and Shinjiro would almost die. Almost.
But then you have 2 people on healing, and so they would bring it back in one turn.
Exactly. The turns were like me, Akihiko, Mitsuru, Hermit, Shinjiro.
Mhm.
So both of my healers got in their moves before the Hermit did, and it was perfect. It was great, and everything worked out, and we got through it, and it didn't feel as much like I was still doing what seemed like low amounts of damage, but it didn't feel like a battle of attrition like the previous ones had. Like I felt like I had more control of the situation. So it went pretty well, I think.
That's good. I'm glad you finally had a fight that went well. You deserve it.
Thank you.
So after the fight, for me, I went in blind, and I think two people were weak to lightning, so I spent a lot of time healing, but I think it only was like 3 charges and I took them down, so it still was like relatively easy.
Yeah, it's not
But
too bad.
Compared to like all the other ones where I've done it in like a turn and no one came close to dying, it was much harder.
Oh, that was the other thing. Toward the end of the fight, Shinjiro kept getting crits, and it was
Nice.
awesome. Like, so I kept getting in. Like, I noticed too. He would crit, and it would knock it down, and it would interrupt the charge. And then at that
Nice.
point, the Hermit just started like stabbing me, and I'm like, ha 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 ha! Your stabs feel like nothing to me.
Nice. All right. So after the fight, Funke senses that Junpei's back at the dorm and says, but Ikutsuki's there, so it should be okay. And then it flashes over and Chidori's still with them. And at this point, I wrote my notes. Is Ikutsuki like slipping, or is he part of Strega? Like, I really don't trust him. Why is he letting Junpei get his butt kicked? So Chidori is like, why didn't you call off the mission? Do you just want to die? And Junpei's like, I couldn't. No one listens to me. I was just trying to impress you.
And also, like, he wasn't there. Like, he couldn't get in touch with us because you had him kidnapped on the roof.
Yeah, there's like our telepathy comes from Fuka and Mitsuru, and they're not even the leader. So
Yeah,
I don't know what you thought, that I was like a mix between main character and Mitsuru. Thank you, but I wasn't. That's not me. Everyone comes up to the roof where Chidori is, and she's like, "Oh, you're back already," and pulls out her evoker. Then Junpei tackles the evoker out of her hands, and Ikutsuki says that he couldn't sense that she was here, but until just now. So her power must be something about hiding herself. And Mitsuru asks if she's a part of Strega, but Chidori only says, well, I'm not afraid of dying, and then like conks out. So Mitsuru says to let her rest. By let her rest, she means kidnap her and don't let her go home for 15 days.
Yeah.
So like even longer. I still don't think for the rest of the month we've sent Chidori home. I think we still have her. So it's like coming up on 20 days now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've still got her at the hospital or something.
Yeah. So on the 6th, we go to the hospital with her, and everyone's asking her questions and she's not answering. So Mitsuru is like definitely being bad cop. She's like, I'm going to take your fucking sketchbook. And everyone's like, chillax.
Yeah.
She's a girl. Like, she's not like evil. So like chill. And Mitsuru's like, fine, I'll try again later. So then on the 8th, back in the hospital, Mitsuru is like, hey Fuka, can you sense something about Chidori, when Chidori is like right there?
Yeah.
And Junpei busts in and is like, I haven't been able to stop thinking about Chidori. Can I please talk to her? And then Chidori finally speaks and is talking to Junpei. She says that no one else understands her drawing, and then finds out that it's revealed that she is indeed a cutter.
Mm.
And Junpei says, stop doing that, because that definitely is how you handle mental issues like this, is just tell them to stop.
Just stop it. Just
stop.
Stop hating yourself. Stop feeling depressed.
Yeah.
Just stop.
Like, his heart's in the right place, but that's not how you do it.
There was a sorry. Just to go back to that real quick. There's a Saturday Night Live skit with Bob Newhart where he was playing his Bob Newhart character, and anytime someone would come into him with a problem, he'd just be like, "Stop it! Just stop it!" Just yell that at him over and over. And it kind of
That's
reminded me
great.
of that.
Yeah, just stop it.
Stop.
So yeah, she's a cutter, but since she has the power to heal herself, she gets away with it, which is like cool but fucked up in like a sci-fi fantasy sort of way.
Yeah.
Like sounds like something that they would have in The Magicians. If you haven't seen The Magicians, it's like Persona meets Harry Potter. Like it's Persona level dark, but the school for wizards, which is really cool.
Huh.
Yeah. On the 10th, back in the hospital, Junpei brings Chidori a new sketchbook, and she has an attack of some sort. And then we see that it's not like a physical attack. Her persona is trying to kill her. And so since Strega like gets their personas in a different way or something along those lines, they have to take suppressants to keep their personas from killing them because they're not doing it the correct way that like C's is.
They can't control them or something like that.
They can't control them as well, so they take the suppressants to keep the personas from killing them. And Mitsuru asks Aragaki how he knows all of this, and he's like, I don't know, I guess you can just learn a lot in the streets. And then he leaves to give the doc her suppressant pills so that she won't be killed by her persona while they're not there.
You can learn a lot in the streets buying drugs to suppress your persona.
So then Akihiko chases after him and leaves the room, and Chidori says that death is nothing to be afraid of, and Junpei says, and I put this in quotes because I liked it, he goes, just because you're not afraid of death doesn't mean no one else is. Like, think about me, I don't want you to die, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Then outside, Akihiko asks Shinji if he's taking the pills and that they have bad side effects, and Shinji just like, shove it, none of your business. So Aki punches him, and Akihiko fights with, like, he's a professional boxer, and he fights with gloves and like brass knuckles and stuff. So this is a punch that kills demons.
Yeah.
And he just punched Shinji right in the face, and the whole crowd that was around them just leaves at that point. They're like, oh, fuck, I don't want to be around any of this shit.
I don't want to get in the way of Punchy McPuncherson over here.
So Akihiko says that he fights so hard because his sister died in a fire and he couldn't do anything to stop it. And he says that Shinji said the same thing back in the day, so why didn't he just come to Aki? And Shinji's just like, I'm back now, forget it, what more do you want? And he says, there's something I need to do that only I can do, and he leaves.
Ooh, mysterious.
It's also that night where Tartarus opens, and I guess I can jump in, take a little plot break, and talk about Tartarus. So the fourth block, I think it is, looks like Trump Tower. Like everything is gold, super gaudy gold with like statues all over the place and stuff. And I died a lot, and I ran out of Plume of Light.
Your white protection thing.
My white protection things, whatever they are. Plume of Dusk, I think is what it is. But I ran out of those, so I started like game overing a lot, and it got really, really frustrating. So I had to. I went into Tartarus on the 28th of the month because I knew I just have 2 days of school left. I can do this in 15 minutes if I need to. I'm going to grind until we have to record. And so I had to go back and like, I looked up like efficient ways to grind and stuff like that to make sure that like I was doing it right. And I ground for like 4 levels now, and I still would have wiped, except I had a homunculus in my pocket. A homunculus protects you from Mudo and Hama skills. And so I was fighting some dude, and he's just like, Mudo on the whole party, and then the whole party goes down, and then it's like, your homunculus saved your life, and then he goes, Mudo on the whole party again, because it knocks me down, even though it saves me. And so he's like, Mudo on the whole party again, but the second one missed, and I was like, thank God. And I was able to come back alive. But I barely got through the 2 bosses for the this month, and I got to my old document, but it was really, really hard. This is like now all the because like off mic I've been giving Elias like tips on like, oh, here's good ways to like level up. Like instead of leveling up your personas that you have, just fuse new ones because they'll get levels way faster and stuff, and things like that to help him get caught back up. And now I have to start doing all of those things because I'm getting my ass handed to me.
Start using those support skills. Start using your
Yeah,
defense up.
I've a lot of the ones that I have now that I just started fusing, they have like auto buffs and stuff. I'm like, there we go. Those are great because I won't remember.
Yeah, I don't have to think about it.
I don't have to think about it. I'll just bring this guy in on the first turn. Back on the 12th, Junpei is visiting Chidori, but she's not drawing, and Junpei is just like, I was like, oh, your plants are dying. Let me go and get some water for him. And she's like, no big deal, and heals the plants in the room. Later that night, Pharaoh shows up, and he wonders how our relationship will change after the Tartarus is gone, and he gives us some social link points. The 14th through the 17th, all of the rumors and stuff are talking about the Culture Fest or a typhoon, both of which are happening on Saturday. The typhoon won and canceled the Culture Fest, and it came on the 17th, and or no, it came on the 18th. And so right before it hits, everybody's gathered around talking about the break, and Fuka says that she's going to the movies with Natsuki. It's kind of cool that they're becoming friends. I just still don't like Natsuki.
Yeah, I'm really weird about it.
So everyone says little things about what they're doing on break. Junpei asks Mitsuru, and she says it's none of your business. And Junpei says he's going to visit Chidori in the hospital, and I realize that it's now been 14 days that we've held her against her will. Then Kin says that he's going to visit the shrine because he made a vow, and I didn't follow him up on that and ever go to the shrine to see what that was about. I'm sure that would have given me some of the stuff that I've been asking about Kin. I keep forgetting that, like, because Michael told us about you could go to the shrine and see Kin like before he joined, and so there are like storyline tidbits that you can find by exploring, and I never explore. I'm just like, oh, it's Tuesday. Well, I'm gonna go and talk with Bebe. Oh, it's Wednesday. I'm gonna go talk with Yuko. Yeah. I don't even like. I was really like under geared a couple months ago, and I was like, when will I have time to ever go to Polonia? And it's like, you can walk there first and then go back and talk to Yuko. But I just am like, nope, it's after school. Got to go talk to Yuko.
Yeah, no, I'm the same way. I'm like, okay, it's social link time. I'm gonna go do that. Shit, I should have bought stuff.
Yeah. So then when you get to your room, you're like, oh, you feel bad and you're really sleepy, and you have a dream about the Velvet Room, and Igor's like, oh, I haven't talked to you in your dreams since like 5 months now, but here you go. Here's the power to fuse 4 and 5 personas at once. So then you're out sick with a cold for 3 or 4 of those days during the hurricane. And then the 21st through the 23rd, you have the day off from school. And on the 23rd is another film festival, and you get to take Shinji this time. And like the whole, like when people were talking about the film festival, like when you're talking to your party members, talking at school and stuff, they're like, I don't know why they're even having the second one. It's all stupid kids movies. Who would even want to go and see that? So you take Aragaki, and it's like
the most hardened guy in C's.
Yeah, it's like Adventures of Pets in Wonderland or something like that. Like it's a super like kiddie thing. And so he's like, is this what you're into? Oh, well, I'm already here. And you go and watch it. And then you come out and he's like nearly crying. He's like, I can't believe the dog was taken away by the river. And it's just it's so good.
Yeah, it's like they went to see Homeward Bound or something like that. And just like he got all sad over Shadow or something.
What it probably is a reference to Milo and Otis. Milo and Otis is originally a Japanese movie,
That's right.
and so it would make sense that he was watching it. And in Milo and Otis, whichever one of the two is the cat, gets rushed away by a river. So
Milo's the cat.
yeah,
That movie,
it's probably what he's
yeah,
referencing.
that movie I found out was super cruel to the animal actors.
Oh yeah, yeah. The reason that Milo and Otis are both really common breeds of dogs and cats is so that they could have like 10 of them for when they washed a cat down the river.
And couldn't
That cat
retrieve
was
it.
now dead.
Yeah.
They had another
Yeah,
one.
I
I'm
loved
like,
that movie as a
Jesus.
kid, but it's like looking back, it's super fucked up. So wouldn't
Yeah,
recommend it.
not ever watching it
Yeah.
again. Highly recommend. So on the 24th, Maya, I can't remember her real name, but
Oriomi.
Maya is like classes are all canceled for the second half of the day for cleanup because we all set up for a culture fest that we didn't get to have. So everybody go and clean it up. So I had Kinji, Kazu, and C's all together, but Kinji and Kazu were my two maxed social links with students. So that's also what you had. So I figure that you had the same thing, right?
Yep. I had the exact same ones.
This is something I wanted to ask Mike about, but he's out sick. So I'll set a reminder. Let me go ahead and make my thing for October, my notes page, and say all caps, ask Mike about the cleanup day. Okay.
Did you do the comedy routine with Kenji?
I did, and I laughed my ass off.
I was sitting there like, oh boy, these are Ken jokes.
They're so
totally
good.
the same jokes that my partner would make. He actually, I meant to mention this before. My partner Tuxedo Ken, who does the Let's Plays with me, and is also mind if I shout this out that he's our biggest Patreon contributor so far?
Right? Right?
My partner is
Thank you, Ken.
yeah. Tuxedo Ken is awesome, and we love him. But anyway, he sat and instead of watching a Let's Play, he actually watched me play.
Nice.
And it was kind of fun. Like we got to. It was sort of like doing our Let's Plays where we just sit and joke about things. We only played up until the 25th, though. Yesterday when he was able to hang out with me because at that point I was like, I'm getting a headache, I need to do something other than playing Persona for 6 hours in a row. So he didn't get to see that part, and I'm really sad because he would have loved it. So
it was my favorite was the one who was like, what do you do if you can't turn the lock? Just keep trying.
Yeah. Oh God.
It was so good. But so then next thing after that, on the 27th, Pharaoh says, hey, you have a week till the dark hour as per usual. Then on the 29th, Fuka says, hey, I think there's something wrong with the stuff upstairs, which is how it lets you know there's a new recording. She also says that it breaks once a month. So we've probably missed out on a couple of them.
Yeah.
But
I've been failing to watch them.
Yeah, so I thought that you would only get a new one when they talked about it, so maybe we did just miss some, but we might be able to go back and watch them in order because the one that I got was from July where Fuka was trying on her swimsuit.
Oh no!
and so she's trying on her swimsuit and she's like, I don't work out enough, so I won't look good next to Yukari if I wear something that's this revealing. And she's like, oh, but wait, I forgot I have my secret weapon. So she gets a box and opens it, and she's like, I got this from the Tanaka Corporation, which, as I'm learning through my social link, he purposely only makes products that don't work because he wants it to be like ambiguous and make his customer support a nightmare so that everybody buys it, nobody can get refunds, and that's how he runs his business. So I'm like, oh no, this won't work. Like, what's it going to do? So she puts it on, and it like tickles like the Man Ray one from SpongeBob, and she can't get it off. And so Mitsuru knocks on her door and is like, hey Fuka, do you have a minute? And all Mitsuru hears is, and giggling. And Mitsuru's like, whoa, 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 never mind. If you're busy, like, you can come back later. And it's great.
Oh my. Yeah.
It's so fucking
Oh
funny.
man, that's awesome because Fuka is like the last one that you would expect would be doing
Right?
that. But Mitsuru like doesn't question it. She's just like, okay, every
She's like,
lady's
teenage girl,
yeah,
I get
every
it.
lady's gotta have some time to herself. I understand.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that was the last thing plot wise for the month, and even that was like Eli didn't see
Yeah,
it, so
I
it's not
totally
even
forgot to go watch it. I was just like, nope, got shit to do.
But yeah, there was a lot of time for social links this month. So I talked about it earlier where I broke it with Kazu, fixed it with Kazu, then broke it with BB and had to fix it with BB. So I finally maxed it with Kazu, but Eli already talked about that last week, so don't have to go over it again. The other one that I maxed, and I just now maxed it, was Yuko.
Oh, good.
So, and I've almost maxed Tanaka. That was the other one I was trying to remember in the pregame was Tanaka. I made him to level 9.
Oh.
So tomorrow in game will be a Friday, and he'll get level 10.
I just hit level 7 with him.
Yeah. So with Yuko, she brought me over to her house to have that party she was talking about before, but it was just her by herself, and so we were just celebrating her victory as a coach or whatever. And then she asked me if I liked kids, and I said yes. And she asked if I wanted a boy or a girl, and I said a little boy. And she said a boy would be good because if our baby took after her, it would be a mess. And I was like, what? And she's like, oh no, I'm so embarrassed. Go, 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 and kicked me out of her house. So then the next time she says that helping those kids made her realize that she wants to be an instructor, and for like sort of rehab type thing, like personal trainer, I guess would be a better translation there. But she has a lot of certifications that she has to do for it. So there's like 350 school hours that she has to do. So, so she's like, it's a whole lot of schooling, but I found a reason to study and care now. Because if you remember way back before, she didn't even fill out her tests. She just on exam day signed her name and goofed off.
Oh yeah.
I then have a small date with her. That's a romance date, not a social link date. But what we do is we go to a bookstore because she's getting her books ready for college because she's really taking this college thing serious. Then on the 30th, I max it out, and she comes up to me at school and is like, hey, the kids gave me something that I want to give you. I have it at my house. Do you want to come by and see it after school? So I go over to her house, and she's like, the kids wrote us all letters to thank us for helping them out. And I said that it was awesome, and Yuko said, you're so good with kids, you're going to be a good father one day. And then she said, I actually had these with me, I just wanted an excuse to bring you home because my parents aren't home. Last time you were over, it was really awkward. Do you think we could try again? And then it gave me a rank 8, said that Yuko professed her love to me, and then that was the end of that. It didn't like go into what more than likely happened for 2 high schoolers to be home alone when their parents aren't. But I thought that was really, really sweet.
Cute.
Yeah.
It sounds like she's your perfect girl too.
Right? She's like really good for Sam Allman. Yeah. Like it's probably because she's a lot like my wife already. But yeah, what about you? Did you max anybody this month?
Yeah, I maxed the music club. So I got through all the case stuff.
Tell me all about it. The last thing I remember with Keisuke was somebody was like sick outside of class, and he was like, "Oh, I'll take care of you," and like took him to the hospital or something. Like that's the very last bit of it that I saw. That was like breakthrough, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. What I learned through this, Keisuke's dad is a doctor, and Keisuke's dad
Uh-huh.
really, really wants Keisuke to be a doctor, um,
Mhm.
and he kind of has this instinct to help people. The other kids in music club kind of make fun of him for it, which I was like, oh,
Mhm.
that's not nice. And I would
Yeah.
stand up for Keisuke whenever I could, to show that, yeah, I don't think that it's bad that you want to help people, but he was also saying, I don't want to do what my father wants me to do just because he wants me to do it. I also really love music. So he had entered uh, into a music contest after his dad told him that he should quit the music club and focus on school, so that he can become a
Mhm.
doctor. But Keisuke had entered this contest with his dad's Stradivarius, which, if you don't know what a Stradivarius is, it's an incredibly good violin, and
Yeah.
very expensive.
Yeah. They also make trumpets, but their violins are what's
Yes,
famous.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah, you see him in the music club, and he plays violin. Um,
Yeah. But I just, because I was in band, you're like, he has a really nice Stradivarius. I was like, he plays trumpet, because I wasn't in orchestra. I was in
right?
concert band.
Yeah,
And so I was like, oh, he
I
has a
was.
trumpet. And then you're like, violin. I'm like, oh yeah, those are the like famous
Yeah,
ones.
yeah. I'm a trumpet French horn player myself, or I was when
Nice.
I was in band. At some point, it'd be cool to pick it up again. But if I ever joined
Yeah.
a ska band or something, because that's super
Right.
likely. Um, anyway, uh, my dreams of being in a band aside, um, Keisuke made a bet with his dad that if he won anything in this contest, because he was picked as like one of the top four, um,
Uh-huh.
or no, we didn't get to that point yet. He made a bet with his dad that if he had won anything in this music contest, that he would be allowed to do whatever he wants and make his own decisions. And if he lost the music contest, his dad was going to make him quit band or music club.
Hmm.
Well, he did end up placing at least in the top four. And so he was super excited. He was like, "Oh, this is awesome. My dad is going to let me do whatever I want." But he continued to be conflicted throughout the rest of the social link for the most part. Like, we would get together and he'd be like, "Man, I still don't know. He was given the opportunity to study abroad, but and he was being talked to by the club advisor, but then someone got sick, so he ran off. And so through the whole
Hmm.
thing, he's just like, I don't know now, because then his dad got really gung ho about him studying abroad, and he was reluctant to do that just because his dad said he should. Um, there was one time where we were talking together. We were cleaning up the music room afterwards because it was our turn, and I suddenly, like, he goes off to get me a drink, and suddenly a box falls out of nowhere and lands on my head.
What the fuck?
Yeah, he came back and he's like, "Oh no!" And he took me over to the nurse's room because I was unconscious. Apparently, like, this must have been a fucking heavy box. Um,
Right?
it just like fell out of the ceiling.
Probably probably was one of those like marching style trumpet cases, the like super heavy silver ones.
Oh God,
Like,
yeah, those are ridiculous. But yeah, he was like, "Oh, it's all my fault. I put my stuff up there. I wasn't being very careful. Blah blah blah." But yeah, he continued to show conflict, and then like on his level 9, he tells
mhm.
me to meet him at the train station, and he's like, "I stole my dad's credit card. I'm skipping town."
Oh no.
Yeah, I was like, "This is a bad idea. This is a really bad idea." And I kept telling him like, "No, maybe don't." Um, and he was like, "Nope, I'm gonna do it. You can't change my mind." And then some old lady like started to die in front of us.
Oh wow.
She's like choking, and
That's dramatic.
yeah, yeah. She's like, "It's I can't breathe," and he rummages through her purse and he's like, "I knew it. She smokes. She must have chronic bronchitis." And so they they call an ambulance. Um, the ambulance takes her to the hospital, and then Keisuke's like, "Well, this is it. I'm leaving now. It's good knowing you, Elias. Bye." And then an old guy behind us suddenly has a heart attack.
Oh wow.
I'm just like, why are these old people here conveniently dying all around us? um, so Keisuke runs off to go call an ambulance, and he's like, you try and do first aid on him. And I'm just like, shit, I don't fucking know CPR. And really, I didn't know CPR. Here were my options for the first. I had 2 tries to help this guy out. On the first try, the options were pat his back, put your fingers in his mouth, and unbutton his shirt. So I tried patting him in the back, and he's like, ow, it hurts. So the second set of options were turning him over, splashing water on him, and massaging his hands and feet. And I'm just like, I'm going to turn him over because I don't like those other options at all. And he's like, no, don't move me. So clearly I am not qualified to be a doctor.
Not at all. I wonder if that was a academics check.
Yeah.
Do you know what your academics was at that point?
I'm at Smart. I should be getting very close to the last level of academics. So I'm not sure what happened there. I think it was just a goofy thing that happened. It made me think of the line in Toy Story where Buzz Lightyear goes, I don't believe that man's ever been to medical school.
Oh, it could be if you'd have to have, because I know there's one for Bebe where you can't give the right answer if you don't have his persona equipped. Do you know if you had Keisuke's?
No, I do. I had Kusumitama equipped, and that's
So that it probably is just funny then. I just know that like they have things like that.
Oh, that's weird. I'll have to remember that for when I finally get to Bebe. I
think that was like number 3. So if you've gotten past that already, then it's no big deal.
No, I think haven't talked to Bebe at all since I met him.
Okay.
I met him with the old couple, and then I was like, all right, I'm going to forget about you forever.
Okay.
So you walking French stereotype. So Keisuke's like, all right, we saved 2 people today. I'm going to go home. And I'm going to apologize to my dad for stealing his credit card. So then the last time that Keisuke and I meet, that was on September 30th. So at the very last day of the month, I finished up his social link. And he told me he finally decided he's going to be a doctor. And he made the realization that, you know, my character is really important to him. And he feels that, you know, these people that he's helped are all really important, all have people that are they're important to and wouldn't want them to die. And so that's why he wants to become a doctor and help people. And he gave me the award letter that he got for getting honorable mention in the music competition.
Oh,
and that's
cute.
Yeah, he oh, I forgot to mention this. At one point, he asked to call me brother because he doesn't have any siblings. And he always wanted them. So I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm your brother. I don't have any siblings either, apparently. So, sure. But altogether, I really liked him. You know, he seemed like... Nice. He seemed like a normal teenage boy who wanted to help people, but was like, I think I related to him a lot in his conflict over what he wanted to do with his life, because that's something I've had a problem with pretty much all my life. Like, I love art, I love music, I love languages. I have never been able to decide on what I want to do with any of those. I went to school for graphic design for 2 years and fucking hated it. I love art. Yeah. I love to draw. I love to paint. I do not like graphic design.
Yeah.
You know, and just like trying to find my place has been really difficult. So it was really easy for me to relate to this kid who also was like, well, I don't want to do this stuff just because my parents want me to, but I also like, I enjoy both of these things, so I'm not sure what to choose. And, but yeah, I think he's probably been my favorite social link so far. I really liked him. He wasn't insufferable.
Yeah, it's good. It's good that there's like a normal person with like normal, like non-Degrassi needs.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, he still is like pulling a Craig from Degrassi and stealing his dad's credit card and trying to leave town. But like, it's not like, oh, I'm trying to sleep with my teacher, or like my legs are about to like be paralyzed forever, but I'm still going to do stupid Kendo Club
Right,
and
exactly.
all these like super high end things. It's really cool because like the reason I haven't really been like talking to him is because he felt like kind of normal and boring, but in the end, that was like a bonus for him, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Makes me kind of want to go back and finish the Gourmet King because I started his and I got like 3 or 4 ranks in, and he just was like, "Yeah, I think that I'm ugly." And I'm like, "So who cares?" And he was like, "Well, I care. That's why I eat a lot." And I'm like, "Okay." But like there wasn't like anything like hooking me. Like the second social link with Bunkichi, he thinks like he forgets that his son's dead. And
Oh,
like the very first one with Maiko, she's like, "Do my parents hate me? Is that why they're divorced?" And like all these others have like hooks that sink into me right at the beginning. And Noizumi didn't have any, but like I'll probably go back and check them out now because if Keisuke turned out to be that cool, then maybe
yeah.
Noizumi will as well.
Yeah, as someone who's on the more rotund side, I can't say that I would feel good about being friends with someone who's like, I'm ugly because I'm fat.
Yeah, yeah. It's a little like weird, but maybe it'll have a good like third act
Yeah,
like Keisuke did.
hopefully.
Uh,
If not, you got something to rant about.
right? If I go and I waste 10 things, I'm just like this fat asshole.
You basically come back feeling like I did about Maya, where I'm just like, God damn it, I wasted all my time talking to this creepy
Right.
teacher, and ugh.
I didn't talk to Maya at all this a month. I had some Sundays off, and I was like, oh, let's go and see about the sick guy. Which the sick guy, when you finally are smart enough to talk to him, he says that he'd love to talk to you, but he's lost his childhood memento, which is a red fountain pen. And then if you go back to the dorm and take Koromaru on a walk, Koromaru will find the fountain pen,
Aw,
and I haven't taken it back to him to see
gotcha.
to start his social link yet. But yeah, I hung out with Bebe some and Tanaka a lot, but since you're also doing Tanaka, we can wait and both talk about it next month.
Yeah, I'm
Because I'm about to max them and you're like 3 away from maxing them.
yeah,
So
I'm pretty close. I've been calling him Akuma Tanaka. Akuma is the Japanese word for devil, um, and he absolutely fits that. I'm really excited to finish that out and talk about it with you.
yeah, I'm enjoying his because what I think is great on a mechanical level, just to touch on Tanaka, is you no matter what you say, you always get the social link. So you just have to talk to him 10 times
Yeah.
and you'll max the social link, which is cool. But when you're talking to him, he talks at you a lot. So so it's like thematic that like no matter what you say, he was going to say his piece. Like
Yep.
he's like when you go to talk to him, he's like, "Let me give you some free advice," and that's how you start your social link with
This
him.
free
And he
advice
just,
that cost you 40,000 yen.
yeah, it cost me a
Yeah,
lot.
you have
Did
to.
you tell him no?
You
You
have
have to
to
pay him
pay
all
him.
40?
Yeah,
That's
because if
funny.
you don't, then it just like he just endlessly asks you for money, and it's just like, all right, fine, I guess I'm paying you.
That's funny.
But I found a lot in Tartarus once I got to I got past like the level 85 boss, I think. Um, shit started dropping like level 5 cards, which were awesome
Oh yeah.
and made me
Oh yeah.
rich. So
Yeah, what I recommend, this is something that I had to do today. I recommend no matter what, while you're in Tartarus, pick the green card. Oh, that reminds me, I had things to talk about in Tartarus besides just me getting my ass kicked. So you'll want to always take the green
right, the
card because that's
experience
a
card.
percentage bonus to your experience, but it also can give you like just raw stats to your personas as well, which is
Oh,
really cool.
nice.
And yeah, because like sometimes I was like, oh, wand level 2, you get some experience. Oh, and Lilith just got +1 luck or whatever,
Oh,
which is
wow,
kind of
I've never
awesome.
had that happen. I
Yeah,
definitely
I've had
pick
it
the
like,
wand whenever I see it.
yeah. So if you don't have the wand, go for the weapon or the yen, just so you can sell it for money
Yeah.
later. And personas if you need them. If you don't have it, definitely go for it. But back in episode 1 or 2, I talked about when the cards go off screen and shuffle that it was unfair. I figured out how that works. The order that they leave the screen is the order that they'll come back in on screen, and they always come in from left to
Oh
right.
my God.
So if it goes like 4, 2, 1, 1, 3, the one that was in slot 4 will be the first one. Then slot 2 will be the second one.
God.
And slot 1 will be the third one. Slot 3 will be the fourth
one. I feel so
one.
stupid now.
Like I never noticed that, but because I was grinding today, I had a lot of like empirical evidence to try it, and so that's how that works. When you start getting up to the fourth block, there's another thing that it does where the cards will shuffle like a normal shuffle, where like they'll go on top of each other, and they always go on top of each other from so the ones that are on the leftmost will go towards the bottom, and the ones that are rightmost will go towards the top, and they'll always separate in that same order. So it's a similar thing, is just harder to keep track of, because now you have to remember, okay, now the card I was following was the second of these 4 that are together. So when it separates again, I have to follow that second one when it unfolds again.
Geez.
But yeah, and sometimes it's really annoying because it'll go like, it's like, all right, here you go. And the first one will be slow. And I'm like, okay, I can follow this one. And then the second one, they'll go off screen super fast where I can't count. And they'll come back on super fast where I can't count. They'll shuffle together, then shuffle out, then move across, shuffle together, shuffle out again. I'm just like, well, I hope I don't click death. I just pick one.
I did end up.
I'm like, I've given up.
I ended up clicking death at one point, and thankfully it didn't seem to do anything.
So what death does is it makes death start coming after you. So death will spawn somewhere on the floor and start coming after you, and you can fight him. He's a really hard optional boss.
Oh.
And I don't know when it's appropriate, like when you can possibly fight him. I just I'm afraid of it ever happening because like by virtue of him being in Tartarus means that whenever it happens, I will lose progress because you can't save inside of Tartarus. And so I'm like, I know that if he kills me, I will at least be sent back to when I first started Tartarus today. So I'm not ready for him.
You can save in Tartarus
on the bottom floor, but you can't save because
if you're in the middle of no, I see what you mean.
Yeah, I'll at the very least go back to my most recent save, which will be losing a lot of experience, a lot of items, those sorts of things. And so every time he's showing up, I'm just like, nope, fuck it, gotta find the stairs, because he'll eventually catch up with you if you take too long on the stairs or on that floor. But then he goes away when you get to the next floor.
Yeah, I wanted to mention that because I wasn't sure if you knew about the weird like radio looking thing at the bottom floor, because I didn't know about that for the longest time. I didn't know that was a save point.
The clock thing? Yeah, the clock
radio dealy.
Somebody says it on the first time you go into Tartarus, but I think it's
I pay attention to that shit.
You're like, I'm too busy writing notes about Stupe to pay attention to mechanical things.
I did have one other social link that I worked on.
Oh yeah,
I got my charm maxed out, and I started going out with Yukari. Sort of. Well, we're not officially dating yet. So, she requires you to have charismatic charm, which means you're max level.
Okay.
Which means she's kind of the easiest to get to because. Yeah. Fuck, I'm still grinding for max level academics, and I have been like studying every single night that I can, and I've been playing the quiz game when I can, and I've been doing all the academic stuff, and I'm still not maxed out. And then I was just really behind on courage, so it was like, and I don't really like Fuka that much. I mean, is
she max courage?
She's max courage, yeah. And Mitsuru is max academics.
Okay.
So I was like, that's fine. Yukari is kind of my girl. We kind of relate with each other. So I'm gonna go see what she's up to. And I figured out Fuka and Mitsuru needed max courage and academics respectively, because when I tried to talk to Yukari before and was like, hey, do you want to walk home? She's like, maybe some other time. And it was like, you need to be charismatic before you can go out with her. I was like,
oh wow, it like just straight up tells you like a tutorial in game.
Like,
that's cool.
Right?
I have a committed relationship. I don't know if I told you, but we did the business earlier today. So so I haven't even like thought to talk to him,
Yeah.
but
Um,
pretty cool.
so finally I got my charm max, and Yukari's like, oh, do you want to walk home together? And the game was like, oh, Yukari seems to like you. You seem much more charming than before. You're not a fucking gremlin anymore. That's great. Um, so at least that was how I interpreted it. I might be paraphrasing a little. Um, so we walk home together, and she's like, hey, so I wanted to apologize for what happened in Yakushima. It was kind of weird, we went up onto the roof. It wasn't that we were going home together. We went up to the roof to talk about it. She's like, I feel like it was kind of weird, but I feel like I can relate to you in a way. And I was just like, no, it's cool. I understand. And she still felt a little embarrassed. And then like afterwards, it gave me the lovers social link. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
so I've unlocked that, but it's like you and Yukari, you're still friends. So I'm like, okay. So the next time I went out with her, okay, it was our second date. We started walking home together. So we went to a flower shop, and she was like, I'm not big into roses. I'm more like gerberas, which I was like, what the fuck is a gerbera? But of course I lied and was like, oh no, I know what a gerbera is. It's a small rodent you keep in a cage and have it run on a wheel. I'm sorry, those are gerbils. But she said, oh, I really like these flowers. What color do you think would be nice? And I had choice between pink, white, red, or I think the fourth choice was like, I don't know, pick what you want, whatever. But I was like, well, she wears a pink sweatshirt, so she probably likes pink. And so I told her that. And she's like, oh, you like pink too? That's awesome. It's my favorite color. And so I'm like, oh, well, great. Perfect. And then she tells me, she's like, oh, I need other flowers. I can't just have the gerberas. It wouldn't be fancy enough. It wouldn't be nice enough. I've got to have something to go with it. What do you think would look nice? And then she's like, oh, wait, you've never seen my room. What good are you for helping me out picking flowers? I was just like, wow, rude.
Like, but also I'm omniscient and I have seen your room. I
Yeah.
watched you read a letter to your dad.
Yeah, exactly. My choices for that were, that's messed up. And why don't you invite me in sometime? And I was like, well, I'm going to learn from Sam's mistake and not ask to go in. I was curious and looked up what she said, and she compared me to Junpei if I would have picked.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, let me in your room.
Which from Yukari, like very biting critique.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I was glad that I chose That's Messed Up. I was just kind of like, man, you don't know me. And she just kind of teased me back and forth and had fun. And so that was good. That went well. And then on our third date, we went to the mall, and she was like, I don't know, what do you want to do? Do you want to do karaoke? And then there was this little kid running around crying. The kid was like, had lost his mom or something. Apparently his mom had left him by the fountain, given him some money, and wished him the best of luck. Because she'd gone off to do some shopping on her own. So Yukari and I take him to the police station, and the police help him find his mom. But afterwards, Yukari's like, man, what the fuck kind of mother does that? That's so fucked up. And I'm just like, well, tell me about your feelings. Tell me why you're so mad. And she's like, well, as someone who has a shitty mother, I kind of relate to that poor kid. And so I said dish girl, and she tells me about how her mother has been pretty terrible ever since her father died, and how she's constantly dating, she's constantly bringing men home, she's got someone living there with them now who her mom isn't married to, and she's just kind of grown neglectful. So she has a lot of resentment toward her mom, and I can understand why she would feel uh, pretty bitter toward this poor kid's mom. But that was the last date we had during the month that we played.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really
Yeah.
interesting to gain that insight into another C's member.
Yeah. I'm like torn because I want all of the social links. I know that I've messed up too much and so I won't get max, and so I've learned to like let some of them slide, but like I still want something in each one. And so I'm like, should I like break things off with Yuko and then like, cuz I have max charm and courage and not even close to academics as well. But and so I'm like, should I go and like talk to them, get those social links? But I'm like, but I don't want to like ruin things with Yuko. I'm so monogamous.
Well,
my monogamy is going to prevent me from being good at Persona 3.
well, aren't you're max with Yuko, so I mean technically you can do whatever the fuck you want now, can't you?
I mean,
like you're not gonna lose levels.
I won't lose social link levels, but she won't be my girlfriend.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, so I'm torn. I don't know if I'll break things off with Yuko, and I'll, since you're doing Yukari, I could go after Fuka and see little of that, or I could just stay monogamous, because the last episode of this, we are going to the ones that none of us maxed and did. We'll like find videos of them, watch them beforehand, take notes, and then talk about those as like a final wrap up for the end of the game. But I could just save those for that. I don't know what I'll end up doing. But
it's time.
Speaking of the end of Persona, as of about an hour ago now, the poll has gone up on our Patreon for what game we can play next, and Eli knows nothing about either of these.
Nope.
So I will send you the trailer so you can watch the trailer. It's 1 minute and 41 seconds.
All right.
And
let me see here.
We can sync it up and watch it together. So tell me when you're
I'm starting
press play.
now. Ooh.
I'll try and get the audio from this maybe and put it under.
Ooh. Wow, this looks cool.
Yeah, it's one of the games that like I've always wanted to play. Like it got away from me.
You get a big tall robot buddy.
You have a totally not C3PO and R2D2 party member.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh, I love the lady in her like tribal attire.
Yeah.
This looks badass.
Yeah. It's like Treasure Planet meets like Final Fantasy type of aesthetic.
Catman. Oh, I love the dog guy.
Yeah, I love him too.
Damn.
Yeah.
That does look really, really cool.
Yeah, I will say that at least trailer wise, Rogue Galaxy is better than Okage is. So try to not take the production value of that trailer as a point against it. But so it's blurb from Wikipedia is Rogue Galaxy is an action role-playing video game developed by Level 5, who are the people that made Dark Cloud, if you've heard of those games. And published by Sony Computer Entertainment for the PlayStation 2. It was released in Japan in December 2005 and in North America in January 2007. The game follows the adventures of Jaster Rogue. He was the blonde-haired guy played by Will Friedle. a young agricultural worker living on an isolated planet who becomes involved in a galactic conflict and learns the fate of the entire galaxy lies in his hands. At the time of its release, Rogue Galaxy was the largest game Level 5 had ever developed, both in terms of the amount of staff working on it and the length of production, which was over 3 years in production. Both Level 5 and Sony had strong expectations for the game, hoping it would challenge the RPG market dominance of Final Fantasy and Dragon Quest. And even though it received generally positive reviews, it fell short of that hope. The critics praised its graphics, the range of its side quests, and the scope of the game, but some were critical of the plot and character development. And the game went on to win several gaming awards. It did not sell as well as it had hoped and sold less than 1 million units. So this is like the definition of hidden gem from the PS2. It's like the biggest like crown jewel that Level 5 had ever made, and it didn't even sell 1 million units that like Mario sold like in the first 4 hours that it was out. So it was really hyped out when it came out. A lot of my friends got it and they lost it, and I finally got a copy of it in September of 2008. But that was when Hurricane Ike came through, and because of that, I lost my copy and I never got to play it. So this was my great white buffalo, as it were. Like, I've never been able to play it, and I've always wanted to. So like, I actually. So when I first moved to Austin, I found out about Game Over video games, which if you guys haven't if you live in Austin and you haven't looked them up, like they're amazing. They're what GameStop wishes they were. Like they have everything. And so I got real good. I would go like every day after work. I would go to Game Over, try and beat the high score on Space Invaders, and just shoot the shit with the people that worked there. And so I always told them, I want to play Rogue Galaxy, but it got away from me and I've never been able to play it. If it comes through, call me, and before you even put it on the shelf, I will come and I'll pay it no matter what price it is. And so they finally found a copy of it. And so Kristen called me and was like, Sam, you got to come over and get it. So I came and I did, except it was a demo disc came with Dark Cloud, and it wasn't the real game. And so she was like, you don't have to pay for it. We give demo discs away for free at the front. And so I played the demo for Rogue Galaxy there in the store. I was like that excited to do it. I was so thirsty for this game. So about a month, 2 months after that, they got a copy of it. And even though like they never had a copy of it, I would think I was about to pay some like $100 for it type thing. It's only like a $15, $20 game, just because it's like when people get it, people aren't thirsty for it. Like they're not, it doesn't move off the shelf very fast. Yeah. And so it equalizes at about $15. So I paid my $15 and I have a copy of it on PS2, but the game itself was released like 6 months ago for the PS4 virtual. So it's $15 on PS4, going to be in Super HD. And even though I own the PS2 copy, I'm going to give my PS2 and that copy to Michael, because he doesn't have a PS4. And so I'm like, you can play that standard def bullshit. I've been waiting 10 years for this game. I'm playing it in HD.
Yeah, definitely. But, and I have a PS4, the first PlayStation I've ever owned.
Yay!
So I can totally get it. Awesome.
Yeah. And so one thing that I remember it being revolutionary about it was everyone was talking about when you like say you have your sword level 1, when like normally you would get to in an RPG, you get to your new town and they sell a sword level 2, you sell your sword level 1, you buy a sword level 2, and you move on your merry way. But Rogue Galaxy introduced a crafting system, which since then every single JRPG has a crafting system. But at the time it was like so awesome that like my friends would talk about the stupid mechanic where they're like, oh, you have your sword level 1. Well, if you go and get a orichalcum, you can apply it to it and get a sword level 2, and you don't have to go to and you don't have to go and do it at a shop or anything like that. You're not reliant on what you can find at shops, just like what you find in dungeons and stuff. And another thing that happened is your battles take place like just right there. So like I'm walking through a dungeon and a monster comes out, and then we all like separate from each other in our like lineup, and we do our fight right then and right there, and not like in a separate instanced combat zone like most Final Fantasies and stuff like that have, which I thought was super awesome.
That is really cool.
Yeah, so that's the first game. This other game is completely different in the fact that like its presentation and style is completely different, but it was also another one that was thought was going to be huge and amazing, but it undersold and nobody remembers it, but the people who do remember it love the crap out of it. So this one is Okage Shadow King, which was like practically a launch title for the PS2. So this was about 7 years before Rogue Galaxy came out. So tell me when you're about to press play and we can sync it up again.
Starting now.
Yeah, so you can already tell. Don't judge this by its production value of the trailer. Yeah, the fonts are definitely circa 2001.
Yeah, very much. It's really cute and colorful.
Yeah. So, believe it or not, this game was beautiful when it came out. Like, you have to remember, this is early PS2. So the quality of like the textures and stuff is stuff you couldn't do on the PS1. Yeah. So it being so like artsy and cutesy and like well designed like this made people like, oh my god, this game is so pretty. I have to go play it.
It looks like something that's kind of quirky because of graphical limitations, but at the same time, like the quirkiness lends a certain charm to it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that one looks really cute.
Yeah. So, Kage Shadow King is one that my friends were all obsessed with. So all these friends of mine are the friends like that their favorite movie is Nightmare Before Christmas. Their favorite band is My Chemical Romance. Like it's definitely got that Tim Burton style charm to it. And all of my weird friends loved the crap out of it. And like they wouldn't shut up about it. But because it like failed horribly commercially and definitely became a cult classic, it was really hard to find a copy of. I found a copy of it in college, but by that point, because it was a launch title for the PS2, I don't remember if you remember the blue backed discs.
Oh yeah,
they were dual layer CD-ROM instead of a DVD. Those are the first ones that when your PlayStation is old and dying, that they lose their ability to read dual layer discs first. So I finally got a copy of Okage. I put it in and it's like, sorry, disk read error. Please try again. And so I had to take it back. But from its wiki, because on Wikipedia, it's such a small game that's just like, this game existed, I think. Like that's all it says on Wikipedia. So, but I found like, the Wikia fandom pages. I found their wiki, and this is paraphrased from their plot synopsis type thing. So Okage Shadow King is known as Boko to Mao, which literally means me and the Devil King. It's a cult classic role-playing game developed by Xenoworks and co-developed by Sony Computer Entertainment. It was released on March 15th, 2001. So like I said, 8 years before Rogue Galaxy and 6 years before Persona. In October 1st in 2001 in North America for the PlayStation 2. The game follows the tale of Ari, an ordinary boy who lives in the backwater town of Tinnel. He's often disregarded or verbally abused by his friends and neighbors for being easily overshadowed. But one day, his father passes the circus on his way home from work and stumbles across the bottle of Pollock, an ancient sorcerer, and takes it home. The family at first dismissed this as just another bottle, but one day, Ari's sister Annie succumbs to a ghost curse, forcing them to seek help. Trapped inside the bottle is the great evil king Stanley Hi-Hat Trinidad the 16th, or Stan for short, who takes resident as Ari's shadow. Stan hears of multiple quote-unquote evil kings, and he's enraged that there would be imposters because he's the one true evil king. He decides to have Ari go on a journey to destroy them all, and since Ari is a quiet, overshadowed boy he has no choice but to agree. This game also was recently released for the PS4, but their PS4 trailer was just like one battle, like showing the battle system. It wasn't like, oh, this one gave you more of a sense of the full game. So I used the PS2 trailer. But yeah, like I said earlier, it's considered like a Tim Burton JRPG. They would like quote it at each other and laugh, and I'd be like, "Oh, what are you talking about?" They're like, "It's Okage, you wouldn't get it."
Wow.
And like all of that, none of them ever lent me a copy. Like,
wow, what a bunch of jerks.
So-called friends of mine weren't even my friends, but
I have lent games to people who were close friends and then never got them back because we stopped being friends. That's how friendly I was with them at the time that we were friends. I didn't care if I got my game back.
Right? But yeah, this game, I thought that you would really like it because it feels like Undertale to me, like the same like vibe from it. And I know that Undertale is your absolute favorite, but I've looked up things about it, and they say that the battle system is really simple, but that sounds good to me because this really this really complex one from Persona is kicking my butt right now. So if I can just mash A and get through Okage Shadow King, I'll be fine with it.
I honestly wouldn't mind a break from Persona battle systems to something super easy and simple. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Press F to pay respects.
But yeah, those are our next two games. So if you're a patron on our Patreon, you can go there and vote to pick which game is next. Us hosts also get a vote. So if, say, 3 people vote for Rogue Galaxy, but all three of us vote for Okage, then the hosts would get the tiebreaker vote, and we would be able to pick it there. But if a lot of people go and sign up on Patreon and there's like 50 patrons, the patrons pretty much get to decide everything. So the reason we get a vote is to like fix it. If nobody votes on anything, we can still make the deciding factor. But if everybody goes and votes, you can just be like, you guys shut up, y'all play the game I want you to when I want you to.
If you want us to do what you want, you got to pay us.
Yeah, you gotta pay us. But so this poll will be active until the day we record episode 9 of Persona 3, which what's today? What episode is this? September 6th.
Oh,
this is 6.
We're flying through this.
Yes, we're on episode 6. Right? It doesn't feel like we've been doing this for 6 weeks at all.
I hadn't even realized.
So for 20 days is how long this poll will be up. So you can, if you don't have time to don't have money set aside to be a patron yet, you have 20 days to go and vote on this and pick what our next game
20
game
days
will be.
To make all the money. Go for it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, I am excited to play those games. I'm excited to finish Persona. I'm excited for everywhere this podcast is going. So these 2 games, I tried to make them both cult classics for the PS2. They also both happen to be on PS4 Virtual Console, so that's all part of it. But
that makes my life easier. Yeah.
I'm trying to, every time we put up 2 games, them to kind of have like a theme to them. So like this one, they were both cult classics that you can now play on the PS4. But then like there's other games I've been looking at that would be like 2 fan translated games from the Super NES, or 2 PS1 RPGs, 2 RPG Maker games if we wanted to do that, but like try and get things that are similar to each other each time they come up. So it's not like we're ever, okay, next time, do you want us to play Final Fantasy VII or this RPG Maker game? Like I want to like theme them and kind of make them like on equal footing so that it could be either one. Yeah. So that about does everything I wanted to talk about for today. What was your favorite part of the month in Persona? To dial it back.
Honestly, I actually have really been liking Junpei and Chidori.
Yeah.
I've really liked seeing them get closer to each other. I do think that Chidori is opening up at kind of convenient moments. But I think it's interesting that Junpei is the one who's gotten her to open up. He's seeming more like a person than just like a
a
a
problem.
walking perverted stereotype. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so I really appreciate that. I like seeing the more human side of Junpei, and seeing that he does seem to actually care about her, and
Mhm.
her well being, as opposed to just being like, I want a boner.
Yeah. Which is
So
so different for him because like even
yeah,
Fuka, who's a sweet darling soul, he didn't like latch on to her personality or anything. He just was like, she's the second hottest person
yeah.
in our grade or whatever.
Check out that hottie with a body. Yeah. So it's nice to see him like, and he even said to Chidori at one point, he's like, "You're really weird," and yet he still like kept trying to hang out with her,
Hmm.
and showing real affection. And I mean, like, yeah, it's not great that he was just like, "You need to stop cutting yourself," but he's
Yeah.
also a teenage boy, and teenagers lack the understanding of psychology and
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. So I'll give him a pass on that one. But yeah, I think that's been my favorite part, is just watching their quote unquote relationship, whatever it might be, kind
Mm.
of manifest and grow. So I'm curious where that's going to go.
Yeah. My joke answer is Mitsuru thinking that Fuko is masturbating. But I think my real answer again comes from the challenges. So like last week, my favorite thing was me getting my butt kicked on Tartarus, and so it's me getting my butt kicked on Tartarus again this time because I got to appreciate the depth of like all of these systems that like you just kind of do. And so like in a lot of games like RPGs, you can just keep spamming A on the warthog outside until you level up enough to then you can go spam A on the zebra one zone over, et cetera, all the way until you're strong enough for the boss. But
So you killed everything in Africa.
all right. But with Persona, with the like puzzle style of its thing, like even when I was grinding today, at first I was like, all right, I'm just going to go into a fight. I'm going to put on a triangle and I'm going to just waylay everything until it's dead. But that didn't work because some things are resistant and some things know my weaknesses, and it would get me trapped in like one turns. And I was like, okay, I actually have to like think about it. And so I learned like the cadence of like, okay, well, um, of like I'll go and I'll do support, and then I'll use something that affects everything, so I can test every monster there against, say, Zeo. I'll do a Mazio to see if it anything hits it, and then try all these different things. And like I learned party composition because you can't like pick like I'm not talking about the party like Mitsuru, etc. So like you can't control them, but you can control a lot of things yourself. So the personas I would bring, I actually went and made sure I had elemental coverage. I had coverage for like status effects. Still don't do buffs and debuffs like I should, but I at least had support skills that could cure me from fear, charm, etc.
You're
And I
learning
start.
at least.
Yeah, I'm learning everything now, and then with like the shuffle system, learning how both the special shuffles actually worked, things like that. Like it really made me appreciate the depth of Persona because like they very easily could have gotten away with making a really awesome game that was just the oh look, it's a visual novel that you have fights once a month. Like they could have like tacked on a fighting system on it, and it would have been okay. But seeing that it's actually a really deep fighting system, like the reason they could go and do a normal JRPG with that is because they have, and it's called the Shin Megami Tensei series. But like you it's almost like the duality of it just gives you two amazing games and they're one game to make it even better. So it's like be like digging in deep on the fighting part because like the last couple of months I would blow through Tartarus like it was no big deal, get up, get my old document, clock out, and never go back to Tartarus again. But this one, since I had to grind a lot, I really got to see like, oh, like the red ones aren't just stronger enemies, they're enemies from the next block that don't belong there. And like the ones that are little will be like one really strong one, and the ones that are huge are like a bunch of really small ones, and a lot of different like ways that the shadows and everything were working. And it was like awesome to like fully pour myself into it. So that's probably my favorite, is like getting to see how deep the game actually went.
Yeah, I was actually that part about seeing the size of the shadows out in Tartarus, and then like knowing how many you're coming up against or whatever. Like I was talking to Tuxedo Ken about that when we were playing together, and saying, you know, the bigger the shadow is out in Tartarus, the more enemies that you're going to face, or the bigger that they are, depending on how many arms or whatever. But yeah, it's really cool to come to that realization when you finally have it. So I'm glad that you're picking up on those things, because I mean, there's still a lot that I haven't picked up on as well, I'm sure. But yeah, I do highly recommend doing your buffs and debuffs, especially debuffs. Those are going to be
I definitely gotta learn how to do those. But it's my like Pokemon and Legend of Dragoon were my first two RPGs. Pokemon lets you do status stuff, but you can beat the game just fine with never doing anything and just using type advantage. And Legend of Dragoon like doesn't have buff debuff spells. Like they're status conditions that your enemies can put on you, and you can sometimes get it as like a bonus effect for everything else, but everything you do hurts the enemy or heals you. So I cut my teeth on games that didn't require buffs and debuffs. So I'm not in that brain space whatsoever in RPGs, and it's coming to bite me in the ass now.
Right. And I've been playing MMOs for a long time. So while I did start out with RPGs like that, I also have been very accustomed to, okay, this is a boss that's going to take this long. We're going to need this kind of buff and debuff for the boss fight. And while like an MMORPG certainly plays different than a turn-based, but it's kind of gotten me in the mindset of I'm probably going to need to pay attention to these things. And yeah, I've been making sure to have a full party of personas that are going to be useful. Now that I can hold more personas, I might take Apsaris and Orpheus back out so I can have Cadenza if I need it, even though those two personas are very low level still.
And they max out at like, I think my Orpheus is only level 9, and he won't get any new spells ever after that. So he maxes out really low.
Their spells can change. Like it'll say like something is happening to Augie or something like that. You let it happen, and in most cases, I'm like, I don't know if I want to, because
the few times I've done it, it's like, hey, your only attack spell. Do you want something to happen to it? I'm like, yes. Turn it into a better attack spell, and it's like, okay, now this is one that guarantees your escape from battle, and I'm like, well,
that was pointless.
I didn't want that. Thanks.
Yeah. I had one where Kusimitama had gained Recarm, and then immediately it was like, Recarm, something is going to happen to Recarm, and I'm like, no, because Recarm is really good, because that's your revival spell. That's the first persona I've gotten that has a revival spell.
I just got a Kusimitama today, so I'm excited that I get a revival spell.
Kusimitama is really good.
I always love the part in RPGs where you stop buying consumables that aren't MP consumables, because you get spells for everything.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm really interested in seeing where the game goes from here.
So one meta observation of the game that I've noticed is the opening song, the one that sounds like this. It shows a lot of scenes through the game, and none of them have happened yet. We are 60% through the game, and I don't recognize a single one of these plot points that are going on. And the months that we're doing keep having like nothing happening. So I wonder if like next month everything will start happening, and it's suddenly the 3-hour special because there's something happening every single day or what.
Yeah.
It's like I don't recognize anything that's going on yet, which has me really excited.
Well, that's something that seems to happen in anime a lot, is like they'll put in scenes that just don't end up in the show for some reason. And maybe that's what's going on. But yeah, I mean, I watch it and I'm like, am I playing the same game?
If it was like anime things for it, I'd be like, okay, sure, this is just an anime thingy. But it like shows screenshots, like little video
Yeah.
clips of like the characters, and you're reading it on the bottom of the screen. Like they're in a desert at one place. They're like, well, the ground's covered in cracks and like all these like things, like RPG type things. And I'm like, I still go to school. I don't know what any of this is.
If that never happens, it is going to be hilarious. Like,
just my luck, all of those are from The Answer and not The Journey. And so we just go to school and fight people, and
or
all
like
of that
tricks us.
all of that crazy stuff happens in The Answer.
It tricks us into thinking that it's like spoiling the game. It's like, no, haha, fuck you, this shit never happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm very curious where things are going from here. So hopefully we'll have Michael back next week, and he can
laugh at us for all the things that we're guessing that'll happen in future.
Right,
just be like,
right.
Oh, ye of little faith, you know nothing.
he can tap his fingertips together evilly and go, excellent, excellent. They have no idea what's coming.
Yeah, I really have no idea what's coming. Yeah. So like in episode 1, I tried to like guess what's happening, what would happen next. And we were right about Shinji, that he used to work in seas and all of that stuff. Like we were right on that thing, but
I was not right that he was Akihiko's long lost lover, unfortunately, but you know.
Nope. But yeah, like there's not really anything that like I would be able to like guess where the story's going. So like if I had to guess, I would, because I've noticed that we have 3 shadows left now, but we have 4 or 5 months left. So something's going to happen where we're going to kill all the shadows, and it's not going to take down Tartarus.
I had that thought too. Yeah.
So something is going to happen crazy there. I think Aegis is going to become important because she's all over that opening cinematic. But I also know that she's the main character of The Answer, so maybe she doesn't become important. I don't fucking know. All right, and that about wraps things up for this week. If you want to go and vote on the next game that we're doing, you can do that at patreon.com/RPG Book Club. All of the proceeds just go to paying hosting costs and buying us new games to play. If you want to chat with us, you can chat with us on Twitter at RPG Book Club. We mostly just are retweeting Persona memes at the moment, but it's also where we put up screenshots when we remember. And sometimes I will talk about like, oh, I really like this part about Persona. But our main place where we chat is on our Discord server, and we talk about all things RPG. Shout out to JRPGT, who just joined our Discord and is talking to us. That's usually where we announce things first. The link is in the description on your for this podcast episode, which I found out does show up on iTunes. So if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, if you click on more details, it'll have our Discord link for you right there. And we also have links for it on our Patreon and on our Twitter. But that about does it for the week for RPG Book Club. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren.
And we will see you next week on November 1st.
Bye.
Bye.